2014 edition of the Kelly Miller Circus.
Hello, Lakeville, Massachusetts. My name is Rebecca Ostroff. I'm an aerialist with the Kelly Miller Circus. I was born in Fall River, Massachusetts. I lived in Rehoboth, Brookline, Cambridge, and Boston. And I'm really super excited that I get to be in my home state, which is Massachusetts. The Kelly Miller Circus is here. We're here for a couple of days at this incredible Ted Williams Park. Kelly Miller Circus is a medium-sized American tented traditional circus with wild animals. We have zebras, camels, tigers, goats, elephants. Children of all ages totally love the circus. It's a family affair. I'm here with my family. My daughter climbs up a rope, works with goats, dogs, and llamas. We get to do a can-can together. My husband plays his trumpet. And it's a really wonderful thing to travel around the country and bring this circus to your community, to your families. It's probably the best, most positive, family-friendly community activity. Every morning we get up at 6 o'clock and we drive to a new town. Our super awesome crew of 20, along with the help of Lisa, the majestic 8,000-pound Asian elephant, sets up our tent. They do this every day. Setup takes about 3 hours. Tear down takes 1 hour. So after the last show, 1 hour and a teeny bit extra, everything will be folded up. We'll all be in our trucks or trailers, snoozing, getting ready to get up the next day and make our way to another amazing town. We're on the road for 38 weeks. We'll travel 10,000 miles, do 500 shows, about 200 setups and teardowns. I think the circus is just as great as baseball and apple pie and jazz. And it's an American wonderful thing to do. And I'm really glad that I get to be talking to you.
I am a production lady or a showgirl in the Kelly Miller Circus. My main jobs include doing aerial web for Rebecca Ostroff's number and doing a can-can dance also with Rebecca Ostroff and Carolyn Rice. And I do a finale where I dress up as a showgirl in a big feather thing.
My name is Carolyn Rice, and I'm an animal trainer with the Kelly Miller Circus. This is my 5th year on Kelly Miller. I was born and raised in Framingham, Massachusetts, and come from a family of educators. All my brothers and sisters are teachers. My father was a principal, but I wanted to be in the circus. So I ended up training horses for a while and studying dance, and then I auditioned for Ringling Brothers as a dancer, and that's how I started my circus career over 20 years ago, and got back into animals, and now I'm training animals on the circus, as well as dancing. I still dance.
Ringmaster is one of the few performers in the show that actually that you actually hear, that has a verbal role in the performance, with the exception of the clowns. And I serve as the host. I make all the announcements, whether they be headlights left on in the parking lot, all the way up to all eyes on the lovely Rebecca. So I'm the host for the 2-hour performance. And traditionally, the ringmaster, before the sound was infused into the circus, the ringmaster was the person who would stand in the center of the ring during the horse acts and keep the horses running at a steady, even gait. And if you think about those early beginnings of the circus, the horse was a major part of the circus. The person doing that was probably the patriarch of the big family. So it just made sense that when microphones came along, that person would pick up the microphone and begin hosting the show. So that's why the ringmaster is dressed in a red coat and tails.
Our next act combines the spirit of the Olympics with an old-fashioned circus sideshow, presenting the world's strongest man. He has performed before the crowned heads of Europe, He has broken records on all 7 continents. And he cannot read a map. He made a wrong turn, called us from Cedar City or somewhere. We don't know where that is, but there's someone else here more than willing to step in and to take his place. Presenting the world's strongest clown, JP Ballyhoo.
Well, a good ringmaster is someone that is a host, of course, first and foremost. Serves as a host, and I hope that I come across as having discovered something that I want to share with the audience. And I don't think the circus should be about the ringmaster at all. I think the circus is a work of art, and I should be the frame. When you go to look at art at a museum, you rarely notice the frame, but if it were not there, you probably would notice.
I attended the New England Center for Circus Arts. It's located in Brattleboro, Vermont. It's a circus school that's run by former Cirque du Soleil members Elsie and Serenity Smith. I was part of the professional training programs in the school, which run for about 9 or 10 months. I did circus before that, but I went to school specifically to enter those programs.
I had a year's course in radio broadcasting in high school in Knoxville, Tennessee. Like I mentioned earlier, I remember the ringmasters as a kid, so I think I'm imitating them. Love the circus, and I believe in destiny, so I think that was where I was supposed to be, supposed to go. Self-taught to some degree.
I always loved attention, but even as a kid, I would go around town after Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers was the show that would come to our town in the summer. We'd come to Natick, Mass. And I would go around and collect all the circus posters and hang them up. And I don't know, something attracted me to the circus.
Well, I first became interested in the circus at a very early age. My father was a variety performer in eastern Tennessee and worked throughout the Southeast. And being a variety performer, he fell in love with the circus too. He never actually worked for a circus. He later, performing, he later became a marketing director. But I fell in love with the circus back in the 70s, attending the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, and he would always buy us front row seats. And so I think I'm just imitating a lot of what I saw. I remember the ringmasters of that era, Harold Ronk in particular, and I guess I'm just imitating those what I saw then and trying to recreate those memories.
This was when I was 16 years old. I saw an aerial performance that was done in my hometown of Arizona. Tucson, Arizona is where I'm from. And there was a woman on a crane 100 feet in the air doing aerial silks. And I remember looking at her and saying, I want to do that. And so when I was 16, I saw this and I realized it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And the funny thing about it is that the background that I come from is more of a contemporary circus background. I'm the only person I know of in the New England Center for Circus Arts at the moment who decided to enter into tent circus work from the programs. I think a couple other people in the past have, but I know from my program I'm the only one who wanted to do tent-oriented circus, because there are two different kind of camps of circus at the moment, and there's this, which is extremely traditional and has been around for the history of American circus, and there was a movement inspired by Cirque du Soleil, which is where the circus schools come from, which is very much wanting to do more of the theatrical or contemporary circus. And so it's funny, I come from that background, but I wanted to go into this. This is what I wanted. So.
started my circus career in 1986. A friend of mine asked me if I wanted to go to New Hampshire and dance in a circus. I didn't know they had dancers in the circus. They did in the olden days, but this was just some basic dance stuff. When I went to the circus and did all my moves, I saw a bunch of women doing my hobby that was trapeze, which I'd been doing for fun in New York City. I was thrilled and elated and overjoyed that something I absolutely loved, trapeze, was something you could do to make a living with. So I got rid of my dance shoes. I was a barefoot modern dancer. Got rid of my leotards, and I ran away and joined the circus. My first show was in 1986. I started doing trapeze in 1987. I made an act. It's been 27 years of doing trapeze here in the circus.
I started in the concession department back in the 80s. I was on the Ringling Brothers in Barnum and Bailey Circus and worked there for 6 years in concessions. Later, my father was working for a very large tented circus. Back in the day, they had 20 elephants and 5 rings, and he told me one night on the phone, he was checking in, he was traveling, that the ringmaster was leaving. I expressed an interest in that job, and the wheels started turning, and I auditioned quickly, and I think I got the job. I was told because I was tall, number one, and I think they wanted someone with no experience so they could sort of train them and mold them the way they wanted to.
My daughter's first job in the circus, she's about 11 weeks old, and that's when I could finally, after having her, that's when I could climb a rope. I was doing the rope act thing, and it took my stepson, who's older, like 14 years older than her, my husband, and myself, all these people to watch her while one of us did another activity. So for her, she's grown up on the circus, and she's learned a lot of how to stand, how to perform, how to wear makeup, how to do acts from years and years of observation and always hanging and climbing and playing on ropes and watching different acts. So for training, if you grow up in the circus, it's a lifestyle experience. It's not just a job, it's a way of life. Children start playing on the rigging, they get used to how to be around animals, and they get a lot of great circus life lessons on performance just from being there. Now, a lot of people, like me, I wasn't a circus person. I was a dancer. I learned trapeze, and I ran away with the circus, so I brought those elements with me. There's a lot of circus schools out there which are training people by the bucketful. And some people like to run away and join the circus, and some people want to stay and do theatrical in a town once in a while circus. It's not for everyone. It's a tough life. You're in nature a lot. You travel, set up and tear down, performing in different kinds of conditions. But it's a remarkable life. When you go in the tent, and it's magical, and there's people, and you're sharing this magical, I'm not going to say sacred, but I guess I could experience with them, that's pretty spectacular. We do shows every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Get where I'm going here? 38 weeks straight. We have days off on occasion. We had a day off the other day to drive from New Jersey, near Manhattan, across from the big city, to Mendon, Massachusetts. It was about a 220-mile drive. We get a day off for that. I think driving in that traffic, you need a day off, maybe some counseling. We'll have another day off to drive 400 miles. Sometimes we just have a day off for logistical reasons. When we got the tent, the new tent, our new amazing tent, we had a day off so the guys could set it up and play with it.
The animals love being on the road because it's something new for them every day. You know, every day there's new grass, there's new clover, there's new trees, there's new sights, there's new smells. Whereas an animal, say you have a horse at home and it's in its little pasture, that's what it's in every day, 7 days a week, unless you haul it to a horse show or something. But these animals, every morning's a new adventure, just like for us. The hardest part about being in the circus is, I would say, missing out on other things because it's so all-consuming. The circus isn't a job, it's a life. It's just the whole thing is your life. It's not, oh, I do my job and then I have my life. It's your entire thing. So if you have a family event in another state or something, you can't generally do those things. when the season's on because it's all consuming. I'd say that's the hardest part. But that said, because it is your life, you're always doing your passion.
I think that the people in the circus have become my family in terms of when you live with people in this close of quarters and 24 hours a day, there's a really strong sense of your community being the people you're around. You have very little external input because you're moving every single day, and so there's not a lot of consistency there. But the people in this circus are consistent. You'll always see them every day. Everyone has their routine, so everyone has formed a routine even though you're moving every day. And I think that you just form really, really tight bonds with people because inevitably you're going to be around each other for a much longer period of time and a much more close kind of connection than anyone else who would go home. Your home is the circus. You go home to everybody in the circus. So yeah, I think that there's a very strong sense of family, especially because people are raising their families here. I mean, everyone's children are running around, so I mean, everyone's family is here.
I'm really lucky that I get to travel around the world and the country with my daughter, who's 15 and just like really great and smart and cool and enlightening. Keeps me on my toes. And my husband. I met my husband in the circus 27 years ago. He plays trumpet. He's been doing circus stuff for 34 years. Originally, he played in a brass band with no microphones of 8 people. Now there's a drummer, my husband, a computer, and sound effects. Kind of sad on that note, but the happy note is I'm with my little family, traveling around in our Airstream with our 4 dachshunds, which I think looks pretty cool on the outside, going from town to town. We get to spend a lot of quality family time together. We get to talk in between acts, after the acts, in between shows at night, in the morning. We have travel adventures, show adventures, weather adventures, sightseeing adventures, dog adventure, people adventure. We do it as a family. That is a super special thing. I think that's what makes it so cool for the audience. They have this whole familial thing going on. You get to see families performing with each other for families.
We get to travel, but not every day is a interesting place. We're usually in the middle of nowhere, but occasionally we get to go to places like New Jersey and go on the boardwalk or New York City and stuff like that. I've been in the circus my whole life, but recently my mom took me out of 6th grade, it was my first year in middle school, to come here with my dad, and then now I'm in 8th grade, and when they took me out, I started doing virtual school, Florida virtual school, and every single day I have to go onto my computer and see if we have a signal, and I have to do all these classes. There's a school teacher here, but I don't go to her because I do my virtual school. When the season ends, I go back into public school. There are other kids here that are my friends. I have like 2 friends on the show. One of them is just visiting. My friend is Zephyr Rosales. Her father's Armando Loyal, and he works elephants, and she rides elephants and is in finale. And we have a lot of common interests like music and clothing and shoes and celebrities and stuff like that.
So I'm a 1st of May. This is my first year in the circus, and so I am called a 1st of May. And there's a lot of things that circus school in particular does not prepare you for in terms of the living understanding of this kind of lifestyle, but you learn as you go. And that's one of the things that's wonderful, is that there are tons of people who are willing to help you and willing to go through it with you. So they will help you as much as they can. Some you just have to learn by yourself, though.
I do my act at least 500 times every year, and I've been doing it for 27 years, so you can do the math. So as far as having aha moments, I have them at different periods of my act every day. Sometimes I'll see somebody and they'll look so elated, or somebody might want to talk to me. Because I'm swinging and spinning and upside down and kicking the tent, I'm really concentrating on the technical aspects, trying to act all relaxed and happy. And I do look at the people, but I get to talk to people afterwards. And sometimes people come over to me and they tell me how they were inspired. And that makes me really happy, because I know a lot of people could do what I do. It's not really that hard, you just have to be brave. It's actually pretty easy, but don't tell anybody. So sometimes people will be watching me. It might be a man or a woman or a child or a grandma. Anybody who's climbed a tree or swam or dove will watch what I'm doing, and they'll be so inspired that they feel like they can do it. And they go away, they leave the performance feeling that they can conquer the world. I think that's the best thing for me. And every time I perform, it's my first time, it's my only time, it's my best time. Because I don't know if I'll get to perform again.
Yes. Well, I can tell you the first time I rode elephants. One of the things was that I wasn't supposed to ride elephants. They were supposed to have 3 and we only have 2, and 2 of the riders were already picked. And so I learned, so basically they came to me a day before yesterday or so and said, the day before I rode, and they said, we need you to ride elephants. And I said, I've never ridden an elephant in my life. I was really excited and I wanted to do it and I was so happy, but I was like, how do you ride an elephant? And so we went in the tent a day before I ended up performing it, and they taught me how to ride an elephant, Lisa, in an hour. And it was one of the most interesting experiences because I'd never ridden an elephant. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. And it was just something where, with this, you're really thrown into it. You're expected to learn. And then when I went out and performed it, it was just learn as you go. Learn, deal with it. And it was a really amazing, thrilling experience. I've never actually felt as excited as when I came off of that elephant, because I had done that thinking I'd never ride an elephant in my life. But it was one of the most fun experiences. I really love riding elephants, obviously.
It's a live performance, and that's part of the magic. When the unexpected happens, of course, that could be various things, but the magic of the live performance is that when the audience starts giving back to the performers hear that and just naturally give even more. And this is all happening on a voluntary, subconscious level, and that's the magic of a live performance, that this cycle occurs very, very much like a big sporting event when the hometown team is the underdog and they're about to pull a big upset. There's something magical happening between the cheering audience and the athletes, very similar to the circus performance. We had a very enthusiastic audience, and at that point, performing is less about work and more about just having fun in the ring. It becomes natural.
Goats are extremely smart. Goats can do everything a dog can do. And they're very, they love people. People always want to get a pet goat, and I say you have to be prepared. It will be calling you all day, jumping on your car, because they're very intelligent. I really enjoy the goats. The llamas, I have 2 great llamas, and they're a lot of fun. I think the smarter the animal, it's easy to train them to do a trick, but it's harder to get them to keep working because then they're just interested in other things. Whereas if an animal is dumb, it takes a long time to train a trick, but then that's all they'll do. They're not motivated to do other things. So say a goat is really smart. Boom, I can teach it to jump through a hoop in just a minute with food, and okay, I know how to jump through a hoop, and then the whole time it's saying, oh, what's over there? What? Whereas a sheep, it might take me weeks to teach it to jump through a hoop, but then I'll hold up the hoop and that's all the sheep will know how to do. They're not very smart sheep. Working with the animals, there's constant work. There's cleanup, there's watering, there's grooming, there's feeding, it's just constant. And I always say to people, the people who work with animals do it because they love it. There's much easier ways to make money. You do it because it's your passion. Say we have to move at night and we get in late, it's 1 in the morning. We take care of the animals first. We don't go to bed. The other acts come in, say you're a juggler. You come in and you go to bed. But we have another hour of work taking care of our animals. So the people who have animals do it because it's a passion. You just really enjoy being around animals that much.
I do some cool things, but I do this thing called iron jaw. I hang by my teeth and I spin. Now, in the olden days of the circus, everybody did that stunt. It was just a common thing. Now it's more rare. So this guy in Hollywood was making a movie about the olden days of the circus. And they wanted something super old-fashioned and authentic. So a bunch of agents knew me, because I've been around for a while. So they all called me and they asked me to go and be in the movie Water for Elephants. I couldn't believe it, because I'd read the book a few years ago. So that was really exciting. So I flew to Hollywood. I left the circus I was on, got a limo, got on a plane, got off the plane. Another limo took me, like, you know, the guy with your name. And then I went and I made the movie. And it was just like being in a regular circus, except it was Hollywoodified. Catered meals and many assistants to carry your hairbrush, and it was great. It was very fun.
Hey, I would say that that is not an unattainable goal. When kids are leaving the circus big top and the parents jokingly say, "Oh, he wants to be a ringmaster someday." Be careful, you know, when you hear your kids say that, because look at me, I became a ringmaster. And we have a lot of young ladies and young men who do want to study the circus arts. And when I was a child, that was difficult to do, but now there are numerous circus schools throughout the nation they can attend, and that gets them a tremendous amount of training, but they won't actually have the experience they need until they troupe with a real tent circus.
I would tell someone who's interested in being in the circus, do it, 100%. Nothing like it. But you have to have a wanderlust.
I do have a few thank yous to take care of very quickly. Bringing our circus here to your community took many people long hours of hard work and planning. Join us in giving our local host, they have done a fantastic job. Join us in giving the Lakeville Parks Department a big hand of appreciation. And remember, a portion of every ticket sold here today and yesterday will remain right here in your community, benefiting the Parks Department and all of the great work that they do. The Parks Department and the Kelly Miller Circus would also like to thank the Lakeville Senior Center, Jim Hutt Gymnastics, also the Cruel Moose Cafe, and Something's Brewing. A big hand for those supporters, sponsors, and ticket outlets. Also, a big thank you to Mary Beth McKay for all of her hard work bringing the circus here to town.